I'm about to reveal the exact nighttime habit that is keeping your blood pressure artificially high while you sleep, preventing your body from naturally healing itself. Most people do the right thing in the wrong sequence, focusing entirely on their morning routines while completely ignoring what happens in the dark. The order matters tremendously, and even if your clinic prescribed the right morning medication, your doctor might have been telling you the wrong information if they never asked about how you spend your final hours awake. I remember a man named David, who was 71 years old, struggling with terrifying morning blood pressure spikes despite eating a perfect daytime diet. He was completely exhausted, suffering from heavy morning headaches, and worried that his heart was failing, not realizing his simple pre-bed routine was triggering a massive stress response in his nervous system every single night. 1. You must completely stop the use of bright electronic tablets, cellular phones, or heavy television news consumption in your bed right before you plan to go to sleep for the night. This vital evening action directly allows your active brain to transition properly into a state of deep rest, actively stopping the dangerous overnight production of circulating stress hormones that keep your blood vessels tightly constricted. George was 68 years old, and he spent every single night reading the daily news on his bright electronic tablet while lying in bed to help himself wind down before trying to sleep. His morning blood pressure readings were consistently elevated and dangerous, leaving him feeling sluggish, irritable, and completely confused because he exercised regularly and maintained a very healthy physical weight during the day. He did not realize that the artificial blue light from his screen, combined with the stressful nature of the nightly news headlines, was keeping his nervous system trapped in an active fight or flight state for hours. Once he stopped bringing his bright tablet into the bedroom and switched to reading a simple physical book under a soft lamp, his morning blood pressure dropped almost immediately and his sleep quality improved drastically. When you stare directly into a bright digital screen in a dark room, the artificial light travels straight through your eyes and sends a powerful daytime signal to your brain, entirely blocking the natural release of melatonin. Without that necessary melatonin signaling your system that the day is over, your body cannot achieve the deep stages of physical sleep required to slow down your resting heart rate and naturally widen your stiff aging arteries during the overnight hours. Your brain remains on high alert, continuously pumping out cortisol and adrenaline, which forces your heart to push blood forcefully against tense, rigid blood vessel walls throughout the entirety of the night. This means that instead of your cardiovascular system getting a desperately needed break, it is actually working just as hard while you are lying in bed as it does when you are walking around during the middle of the afternoon. To correct this hidden issue, you need to establish a strict rule where all brightly lit electronic devices are completely turned off and physically placed in another room at least 2 full hours before your intended bedtime. You should replace this digital screen time with a calming, screen-free activity such as reading a physical paperback book, listening to a quiet radio program, or simply sitting in a softly lit room doing a gentle crossword puzzle. This dedicated quiet time signals to your nervous system that the daily work is finished, allowing your internal cardiovascular system to safely power down and begin its necessary overnight repair cycle without any sudden interruptions. If you live completely alone, and you absolutely must keep your cellular telephone nearby in case of a late-night medical emergency, simply place the device face down on a nightstand completely across the room so the screen cannot shine directly into your eyes. This supports steadier readings by removing the invisible, artificial stress signals that secretly force your heart to overwork while you are lying perfectly still in the dark. 2. You must learn exactly how to properly measure your blood pressure after waking up by waiting at least 30 full minutes, completely emptying your bladder, keeping both feet flat on the floor, and sitting in total silence before starting the machine. Taking these very specific preparatory steps ensures that you are capturing a true, accurate, resting baseline of your cardiovascular system, rather than measuring a temporary, artificial spike caused by normal morning movement and internal organ pressure. Martha was 71 years old, and she routinely panicked every single morning because she took her blood pressure reading the very second her feet hit the bedroom floor, often while her bladder was completely full from the long night. She rushed to the kitchen table, wrapped the cuff around her arm tightly while standing, and immediately pressed the start button, resulting in terrifyingly high numbers that caused her intense morning anxiety and led to unnecessary doctor visits. Her major mistake was failing to let her body stabilize after waking up and forcing her heart to pump against the intense internal physical pressure of a completely full bladder that needed to be emptied. Once she simply learned the proper morning sequence of using the restroom first, drinking a glass of water, and resting quietly in a supportive chair for several minutes, her artificial morning spikes completely vanished. When you first wake up from a long night of sleep, your body naturally experiences a sudden surge of morning hormones designed to raise your blood pressure just enough to help you safely stand up and start moving around your house. If you take a reading during this initial natural surge, or while your body is actively holding back a full bladder, the machine will register a falsely high number that does not accurately reflect your true daily cardiovascular health. A full bladder actively stimulates your sympathetic nervous system, sending distress signals to your brain that instantly cause your blood vessels to tighten and your blood pressure to surge upward until the physical pressure is finally released in the restroom. Capturing an accurate reading requires your internal organs to be completely relaxed and your nervous system to be entirely calm, which is physically impossible if you are rushing around your house or holding physical tension anywhere in your body. If you frequently experience sudden dizziness, severe lightheadedness, or a feeling that the room is spinning immediately upon standing up from your bed in the morning, you should take your time and sit on the edge of the mattress for a few minutes before attempting to walk to the bathroom. This specific sensation can indicate that your blood pressure is actually dropping too quickly when you stand, a common issue for seniors on certain medications, and moving too fast could result in a dangerous fall. Taking your daily morning measurements precisely the same way every single day removes the variables that cause panic and confusion when looking at your daily health journal. This easy adjustment prevents false alarms and supports steadier readings by capturing your true resting cardiovascular state. Here is another simple habit. 3. You must stop consuming heavy, complex, high-sodium meals within 3 full hours of your intended bedtime to ensure your digestive system is completely empty before you lie down horizontally on your mattress. Stopping this late-night eating habit allows your internal cardiovascular system to experience a necessary phenomenon called nocturnal dipping, where your heart rate and blood pressure naturally lower by 10 to 20% to allow your blood vessels to heal. Robert was 74 years old, and he had a lifelong habit of eating a very large, heavy, sodium-rich dinner at 8 o'clock at night before going straight to bed to sleep at 9 o'clock. His morning blood pressure numbers were consistently elevated, and his doctor could not figure out why his prescribed daily medication did not seem to be working to control his cardiovascular system overnight. Robert's digestive system was forcing his aging heart to work severe overtime all night long to process the heavy meal, completely preventing the natural drop in blood pressure that is supposed to happen while we sleep. When he simply moved his dinner time to 5 o'clock in the evening and ate a much lighter meal, his heart was finally allowed to rest, and his morning numbers stabilized beautifully. A recent major medical study regarding nocturnal blood pressure dipping revealed that seniors who eat large meals right before bed experience a dangerous lack of this necessary overnight pressure drop, drastically increasing their overall risk for cardiovascular events. When you eat a heavy meal, your body must immediately direct a massive amount of concentrated blood flow straight to your stomach and intestines to physically break down the heavy proteins, fats, and complex carbohydrates you just swallowed. Lying perfectly flat in your bed while your stomach is completely full forces your heart to pump that heavy volume of blood horizontally, completely fighting against gravity and requiring significantly more physical effort from your aging heart muscle. This heavy digestive workload ensures that your heart rate remains elevated and your blood vessels remain tight and fully pressurized for hours while you are completely unconscious, damaging the delicate inner lining of your arteries over time. To fix this common hidden issue, you should completely finish your final meal of the day at least 3 full hours before you turn out the bedroom lights, giving your stomach ample time to empty its contents into the small intestine. You should also ensure that this final evening meal is the absolute lightest and smallest meal of your entire day, focusing on simple, easy-to-digest steamed vegetables and lean proteins rather than heavy, salty meats or rich, creamy sauces. If you find yourself genuinely hungry late in the evening and simply cannot sleep with an empty stomach, choose a very small, incredibly bland snack, like a handful of raw almonds or a single plain rice cake. This gentle approach guarantees that your digestive organs have finished their heavy lifting long before your head ever hits the pillow, allowing your entire body to transition smoothly into a state of cellular repair. If you currently use insulin or take specialized glucose-lowering medication to manage a diabetic condition, you must check your readings carefully and consult your doctor because changes in evening food timing can drastically affect your overnight blood sugar stability. You never want to accidentally trigger a severe low blood sugar event while you are sleeping simply because you decided to skip your normal evening meal without adjusting your daily medication protocol with your physician first. For those without advanced blood sugar complications, giving your digestive tract a long break before bed is one of the most effective ways to lower your daily vascular tension. This simple evening timing adjustment supports steadier readings by allowing the overnight cardiovascular system to fully rest and recover. Most older adults can try this safely. 4. You must deliberately drink a small, carefully measured glass of room temperature water exactly 1 hour before you plan to go to sleep, instead of cutting off all of your daily fluids in the early afternoon out of fear. Maintaining a proper level of internal hydration before you sleep actively prevents severe overnight dehydration, naturally keeping your circulating blood thin, smooth, and incredibly easy for your resting heart to pump throughout your body. Alice was 69 years old and she completely stopped drinking any water or fluids after 4 o'clock in the afternoon because she was absolutely terrified of having to wake up and walk to the bathroom during the night. She believed she was solving her sleep disruption problem, but this severe, deliberate evening dehydration caused her blood to become incredibly thick and viscous over the long night, forcing her heart to push much harder through her stiff arteries. She woke up every morning feeling physically exhausted, suffering from a dry mouth, and staring at a blood pressure monitor that showed her numbers climbing higher and higher despite her strict daytime health routines. Once she started drinking just a small, carefully measured glass of water exactly 1 hour before she went to sleep, her overnight blood volume stabilized and her dangerous morning hypertension spikes completely faded away. While you sleep soundly for 7 or 8 hours, your body continuously loses a significant amount of physical water simply through the natural act of breathing out moist air and through the invisible overnight evaporation of sweat from your warm skin. When you severely restrict your evening water intake, your total blood volume drops significantly by the early hours of the morning, meaning your heart has to squeeze much harder to push that thicker, reduced fluid through your vascular system to reach your brain. This naturally occurring overnight dehydration is exactly why so many older adults experience their highest and most dangerous blood pressure readings precisely during the first few hours after waking up, when their blood is at its absolute thickest state. Hydrating properly before bed provides your cardiovascular system with the exact fluid buffer it needs to maintain a steady, smooth flow of blood throughout the entire night without requiring emergency pressure adjustments. To maintain the perfect overnight fluid balance without triggering multiple frustrating bathroom trips, you should pour yourself precisely 4 to 6 ounces of plain, room temperature water about 60 minutes before you intend to pull the blankets up. Slowly sip this small amount of water rather than aggressively gulping it down all at once, allowing your stomach to gently absorb the hydration and distribute it evenly into your bloodstream without overwhelming your resting kidneys. Then, right before you physically get into the bed, make one final trip to the bathroom to completely empty your bladder, ensuring your system has just enough fluid to keep your blood smooth but not enough to wake you up in distress. If you find these daily steps helpful for your health routine, consider taking a moment to subscribe to the channel so you never miss these simple, effective senior health tips. If you have been diagnosed with severe congestive heart failure or advanced chronic kidney disease, and your cardiologist has placed you on a very strict, medically supervised daily fluid restriction, you must follow their specific guidelines above all else. In those specific medical situations, introducing extra unmeasured water into your body right before bed can cause dangerous fluid buildup in your lungs or around your heart. So always prioritize your direct medical instructions over general wellness advice. For the vast majority of aging adults without those specific restrictions, maintaining a slight baseline of evening hydration is a powerful tool against thick morning blood. This careful fluid management supports steadier readings by ensuring your blood vessels are never forced to work overtime due to easily preventable overnight dehydration. 5. You must immediately begin elevating the head of your bed or intentionally using a specialized, firm foam wedge pillow if you frequently snore loudly, breathe heavily, or wake up gasping for air in the middle of the quiet night. This critical physical nighttime adjustment actively prevents the heavy soft tissues in your throat and upper airway from completely collapsing while your neck muscles relax, ensuring a continuous, unbroken flow of vital oxygen to your brain and stopping dangerous, silent overnight blood pressure spikes. Henry was 72 years old, and he always slept completely flat on his back on a standard thin mattress with only one small, soft pillow underneath his head because he believed this was the best posture for his aging spine. He snored incredibly heavily throughout the entire night, causing his brain to experience hundreds of minor, completely unnoticed oxygen drops that repeatedly forced his nervous system to panic and significantly spike his blood pressure just to wake him up enough to take a proper, deep breath. He consistently woke up feeling entirely exhausted, suffering from a heavy, dull ache in his temples, and facing terrifyingly high morning monitor numbers, despite closely following a very strict, low-sodium dietary plan during his waking hours. Once he simply purchased a firm, elevated foam wedge pillow that gently raised his entire upper torso by just a few inches, his heavy snoring stopped completely, his airway remained open, and his morning pressure readings normalized beautifully within a matter of days. When you lie perfectly flat on your back, the invisible force of gravity actively pulls the relaxed, heavy, soft tissues of your tongue, soft palate, and throat directly downward toward the back of your airway, significantly narrowing the physical space available for air to pass through to your lungs. As this vital breathing passage becomes smaller and tighter, your lungs have to work much harder to pull oxygen into your body, creating the loud, vibrating sound we recognize as snoring, and often leading to brief, dangerous moments where your breathing stops entirely. Whenever your brain senses that the oxygen levels in your circulating blood are suddenly dropping, it interprets this as a critical, life-threatening emergency and instantly floods your bloodstream with heavy doses of adrenaline and cortisol to shock your cardiovascular system. These powerful stress hormones instantly clamp down on your relaxed blood vessels and force your resting heart to beat much faster and significantly harder, frantically attempting to circulate whatever remaining oxygen is left in your blood to protect your vital organs from damage. To properly correct this physical airway obstruction and protect your resting heart, you should invest in a high-quality, dense foam wedge pillow that gradually elevates your entire upper body, starting from the middle of your back and rising gently all the way up to your head. You absolutely must not simply stack 3 or 4 regular soft bed pillows on top of each other, because this incorrect method will only bend your neck forward at a sharp, unnatural angle, which can actually compress your airway even further and cause severe neck pain in the morning. The goal is to create a smooth, gentle incline for your entire upper torso so that gravity naturally pulls your relaxed throat tissues downward toward your chest rather than backward into your breathing passage, keeping the airway wide open and completely unobstructed while you sleep deeply. If you currently suffer from severe cervical spine issues, osteoporosis in your neck, or you have recently undergone any type of delicate spinal surgery, you must explicitly ask your physical therapist or primary doctor before changing your sleeping angle to ensure the new posture will not aggravate your existing condition. This physical airway support supports steadier readings by physically removing the hidden nighttime breathing blockages that quietly force your cardiovascular system into a state of severe, exhausted panic while you are completely unconscious. Here is another simple habit that takes almost no time at all. 6. You need to commit to performing exactly 2 minutes of incredibly slow, seated shoulder and neck rolls right on the edge of your mattress before physically getting into your bed to manually release built-up daytime physical tension from your upper body. This gentle, completely motionless lower body activity physically widens the main blood vessels, traveling directly from your heart to your brain, significantly lowering the immediate physical resistance your aging heart faces right before you attempt to go to sleep. Eleanor was 70 years old, and she unconsciously carried all of her daily mental and physical stress directly in the tight muscles of her neck and her upper shoulders, from hours of sitting in her chair, reading books, and knitting sweaters for her grandchildren. She went to bed every single night feeling completely stiff, rigid, and physically tight, which severely restricted the natural, healthy blood flow through her upper body and caused her evening blood pressure numbers to remain stubbornly high, preventing her from ever falling into a deep restorative sleep. She started practicing just 2 minutes of slow, deliberate shoulder releases before her head ever hit the pillow, and as the physical tension finally melted away from her muscles, her blood vessels gently opened up, allowing her evening monitor readings to drop beautifully into a completely safe, healthy range. When you hold severe physical tension in your upper body throughout the day, your tightly contracted muscles physically squeeze and compress the delicate blood vessels that run through your neck and your shoulders, acting exactly like a heavy foot stepping firmly down on a running garden hose. This constant, invisible muscular compression creates a massive amount of physical resistance in your upper vascular system, forcing your heart to pump much more aggressively to push blood through those narrowed, squeezed pathways just to keep your brain properly oxygenated. By deliberately and manually relaxing these specific, tight muscle groups right before you intend to go to sleep, you are physically lifting that heavy foot off of the garden hose, allowing the blood vessels to expand back to their normal, healthy size. Please let me know in the comments below if you frequently notice that your neck and your shoulders feel stiff, tight, or painful at the end of the day, as this is an incredibly common issue for older adults that drastically impacts nighttime cardiovascular health. To perform this gentle evening release correctly, you should sit very comfortably on the edge of your mattress with your feet resting flat on the floor, allowing both of your arms to hang completely loose and heavy right at your sides like completely relaxed noodles. Slowly and deliberately shrug both of your shoulders straight up toward your ears as high as you comfortably can. Firmly hold that tight position for 3 full seconds, and then let them drop completely and heavily back down, physically feeling the tension leave your upper back. Next, very gently roll your head in a slow, careful half circle, moving your chin from your left collarbone slowly across your chest over to your right collarbone, taking deep, slow breaths and never forcing your neck to bend backward or into any position that causes sharp pain. If you have a history of severe vertigo, you regularly experience sudden dizzy spells when moving your head, or you have diagnosed pinched nerves in your cervical spine, you should only perform the shoulder shrugs and completely avoid the neck rolling portion to prevent any sudden loss of balance. Ensuring your muscles are physically soft and relaxed before you lie down stops your heart from having to fight against your own rigid body throughout the long night. This physical tension release supports steadier readings by creating a perfectly clear, wide-open pathway for your blood to flow smoothly and effortlessly while your entire body rests in the dark. One more easy change involves the very room you sleep in. 7. You must actively lower your bedroom thermostat temperature by a few degrees every single night to deliberately create a slightly cooler sleeping environment that easily allows your core internal body temperature to drop as you rest. This simple, completely invisible environmental shift perfectly mimics the natural biological cooling cycle of the Earth, which strongly triggers your central nervous system to fully relax and immediately initiate its necessary, life-saving nighttime blood pressure dip. Clara was 75 years old, and she deliberately kept her bedroom thermostat set at a very warm 78 degrees every single night because she loved feeling warm and cozy under her thick, heavy winter blankets, absolutely hating the feeling of cold air on her face. She often woke up sweating slightly, and her heart rate remained consistently elevated throughout the entire night as her body desperately tried to cool itself down, resulting in incredibly high morning blood pressure numbers that confused both her and her primary care physician. Once she finally agreed to lower her bedroom thermostat to a much cooler 68 degrees and used layered blankets instead of a single heavy comforter, her core body temperature was finally able to drop safely, her heart fully rested, and her morning numbers became absolutely perfect. Your entire biological system operates on a strict internal clock that heavily relies on environmental temperature cues to know precisely when it is time to be awake and when it is finally time to power down for deep, restorative cellular repair. For you to successfully achieve the deepest, most healing stages of sleep, the exact stages where your cardiovascular system is allowed to drastically lower its pressure and heal your stiff arteries, your core internal body temperature must physically drop by 1 to 2 degrees. If your bedroom environment is kept artificially hot and stuffy, your body is completely prevented from shedding its internal heat, forcing your heart to continuously pump heavy volumes of warm blood directly to the surface of your skin all night long in a desperate, exhausting attempt to radiate that trapped heat away. This means your heart is working continuous overtime while you are lying perfectly still, entirely preventing the natural nighttime relaxation of your blood vessels and leaving you with dangerous high-pressure readings the moment you finally wake up to start your day. If you suffer from severe circulation issues in your extremities, a condition like Raynaud's syndrome, or you simply struggle to keep your feet warm at night, you should absolutely wear a pair of loose, comfortable cotton socks to bed to protect your toes while still allowing the rest of your body to cool naturally. Finding the perfect balance between a cool room and a comfortable bed takes a few nights of simple experimentation, but it is one of the most powerful and completely free changes you can make for your aging heart. This simple environmental adjustment supports steadier readings by working perfectly alongside your body's natural biology, allowing your cardiovascular system to experience a true, deep, and heavily restorative rest every single night. If you know someone over 50 who could benefit from this, share this video, and subscribe for more simple senior health tips.